listening to Real Coaching Radio TV, building a positive network.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Kids Talk Foundation, a global nonprofit organization providing youth advocacy, television programming, and training services in the United States, along with comprehensive medical and educational services for the developing world, most recently in Kenya, Africa, where Kids Talk Foundation provides a feeding program, medical care, and educational services to over 1,300 young people each day. Please help our youth and place your donation. Go to www.kidstalk.org. Are you in the entertainment industry? If you answered yes and you want to promote yourself, your passion, and profession, check out Creative Independent Artist magazines at CIAartists.com. Endorsed by Kids Talk Foundation worldwide.
Welcome to Unopened Gifts, the weekly one-hour program dedicated to understanding the human potential that lies within us and the abundant life that lies before us. Inspired by the personal journey of our host, James McPartland.
And as I like to say, they don't come more inspired than me, or than I. I think I can get corrected by our guest today. Nonetheless, it is about 9 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock in Southern California. I am your host, James McPartland. This is the Unopened Gifts program. And if you're joining us for the first time, a very warm welcome and a Skype hug. And if this is your return visit to us, thanks for coming back. I know you won't be disappointed. This is going to be an exciting show. And I'll remind those that have come before or joining us for the first time, the purpose of the program is to inspire you. Those that are watching or those that are listening, or perhaps you're barreling down the road having this on an MP3, what we like to do is bring on guests who have lived an incredible life, have overcome perhaps some amazing obstacles along the way, and to learn from their journey, perhaps to provide a few tools for you, for all of us, to continue to pursue dreams and open gifts in our lives. And my guest today is in the Florida Panhandle, surrounded by alligators of opportunity. This is Michelle Colin Johnson. I'm thrilled to have her. She's known, and if you've spent some time with her, you'll understand why, as the Dream Giver. A woman who started her own publicist company in 2012. That would be this year, yes. And if I'm not mistaken, that is called To Dream Productions. She is known as a woman, I'd like to say an angel, a force for good that connects people to their dreams and aspirations, and she has good reason to have people pay attention to her. Not only it's the spirit and the truth and honesty with which she approaches life, but it's her own life journey about which we'll learn much today. She is a 5-time stage 4 cancer survivor. She is a single mother of an autistic teenage daughter and has learned a few things about relationships in her life, probably a few things that she doesn't want to hit the repeat button on. Went emotionally bankrupt, and as I think she likes to say, is what happens when you go bankrupt. You have to get a chance to start over. And a dream is only a dream until you set it as a goal and start to take the action. So Michelle, it's an honor and a pleasure to have you on the program. Welcome.
Thank you, James. It's an honor to be here today. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I know I only gave the cliff notes and the highlight reel of an amazing life. And can you expand a little bit about who you are and how you've landed there on your own version of Success Mountain?
My own version of Success Mountain. Success Mountain kind of found me. We're all kind of lost out there sometimes and we lose our way. And they say a dream is only a dream until you begin to live it. And actually this year I began to actually live my dream. So I've been really excited about it.
And how is it that it was this year, which I think is really important to emphasize. Let me sort of put a preamble to that, in that as folks tune into this program, or as I spend time with people, and perhaps like yourself, there's perhaps a belief that we have that we're supposed to have life figured out at a young age. I can go in multiple channels here. Anyway, have it all figured out at a young age. Get into college, pick a degree, have a spouse, a white picket fence, a dog, a couple of kids, and then we've got it all figured out. But I think what your journey and journeys of the great people you surrounded yourself with have taught us that, in fact, gifts come to us at various stages of life. And here at 2012, this is sort of you with an identity refreshment. And so tell us a little bit what led to the Dream Giver coming to life.
My journey started, I had cancer in my early 20s, and then I was in a marriage, of course. I hope that's a good thing. I was married for 14 years, And throughout my whole marriage, we really had some struggles because of my cancer. So it was an unusual situation. Most people get married and they start a family and they have success most of the time. But with us, that we struggled a lot with the cancer. And then my husband, he had two parents that passed away 11 months from each other. So in the end of that little cancer journey, I know I kind of summed it up really quickly. You can't really explain cancer 5 times. It's when I tell people I've had cancer 5 times, stage 4, they're like, "Oh, wow, I can't believe you're still here. You don't look like you've had cancer." I really didn't. I'm 44 years old, and I never thought that I would make it to this stage in my life. Unfortunately, at the end of the cancer road, when I thought the cancer was gone and over with, I got hit with divorce, and that's not something that I planned. I don't think any of us plan on saying, I'm going to get married, but hey, that's okay, because I'm going to get divorced. So I really did not deal with my sorrow, my cancer story. For one thing, I was given 9 to 13 months to live, and they basically said, go home and get your affairs in order. But I never really believed that I was going to die. So it was during that time of my journey that I realized that I needed to do something with my life. Now that I'm going to live, I was celebrating living because I thought I was dying. Well, now I'm alive. How do you celebrate that you're not going to die anymore?
And let me ask this question, and it's probably like any experience in life, we can learn a lot from another's journey, but there's nothing quite like the actual experience. I know that as you and I spoke early on, I've learned a lot about, well, I don't know if I've learned a lot. I'm being taught a lot about raising children. I'm being taught by the little people how it is to raise them. And anything anybody had ever told me or read about, I certainly intellectually grasped it, but until it happened to me, I could not even begin to really comprehend what people were trying to express. And that's the same with business outcomes or damaged relationships or things that we've all been exposed to. From your journey and what's transpired, was there have there been points in time where you said, these are gifts that I've been given, or did it take you a while to come to that? Because now that your platform is, I think this has given you an incredible space to go out and talk to people about what we perceive to be obstacles compared to what could be real-time obstacles, and how to overcome those things in our life.
I never realized that I had a gift. I just always went along and did what I thought people were supposed to do. I thought you were supposed to help other people, and you weren't supposed to look for something in return, and you did it because it's the right thing to do. I connected with Bob Berg, who you have interviewed before. I think it was the end of 2009, and that was kind of the start of my personal development journey. I followed Bob for a little bit, and I was blessed enough to meet him. But I really learned a lot about myself and the gifts, that I had. And I have another friend of Bob's and I is Josh Hines, and then Mary Riesberg, and I would say to them, gosh, what is it that you see in me that I don't see in myself, And they would say, well, God, you are what we call a dream connector. And I'm very funny about advertising myself, so I didn't quite see it, but I do. Ever since I was a little girl, Bob asked me a question. He says, well, what did you do when you were a child? What's the thing that you did most throughout your life and that you loved and you got the most excitement out of? And it really was. I would introduce my little friends on the playground. I would connect someone if they called and said, hey, do you know this person that can help me with this? And I've done that my whole life. But I'll be honest with you, I did not know that you were supposed to, I didn't know that it was okay to monetize that. I did not know that it was okay to get paid for those things. I thought that my gift, when I finally realized I had a gift, was I got to live 5 times. So that I thought.
Wow. And, Michelle, I think it's, well, your story is remarkable. Your spirit is contagious. And what I find really unique, and I should say extremely unique, is as I've gotten to know you over a period of time here, is the generosity that you possess, or I shouldn't say you possess, the generosity that you give away. And, maybe as you were describing, how life was for you, and maybe didn't know that the way you lived your life was something that you could monetize. Perhaps there's a disconnect with those things. But yet it's unusual to find people that are service-oriented or look to give, or go-givers would be a popular phrase, if you will.
Somebody's taken that already.
Mr. Bird guy again, yeah? He's following us all around.
That's
and
right.
Was there a model of that when you were growing up? Did you see that in parents? Did you see that in teachers? Was that a gift that just unfolded as life was unfolding for you? Because it's unusual in so much that I suspect every once in a while people have a hard time believing that someone is going to do something for them without a motive, right?
I didn't, unfortunately, I did not have very good role models as a child. But I kind of learned along the way from seeing other friends that I would have that their parents were pretty cool, and they were a model of what parents and children should be like. And of course, I was much like others that you and I know. I was not raised in wealth. I was raised in poverty, but I learned that I did not have to have the situation and circumstances that were surrounding me at all times. If other people were doing things, there'd be no reason why I couldn't do that either. They weren't given to me as much as they were given to others. But I found joy and fun in working towards a goal, and I became very good in sales that way. So I guess I was kind of self-taught.
Well, in reality, we're all in sales, or whether that's effective sales or ineffective sales. It's all about communication and influencing people with our words to move in a particular direction in life. And I find what you do now to be very interesting, because now of the things that you do, of the many things that you do, you help people who are effective communicators with their words, whether that's through the written word or through speaking as a platform, or perhaps through channels of the media. You help those people propagate their professions or their careers, or find the platforms with which to go out there and affect and touch more people. So in essence, you're doing the same, or sort of building bridges for those folks. How did that all come to pass for you?
That completely fell in my lap. That was like a gift that God just placed in my lap. Literally, I woke up one day and here I was, a publicist. I remember getting the phone call from my publisher, who was Sound Wisdom, Nathan Martin. He said, "Michelle, how would you like to get paid for what you do for free?" And I was like, okay. I was waiting for the punchline because I work with a bunch of guys. And he says, "No, I'm really serious." I said, "Well, what is it that I do for free, or that you think that I do that I can add value to you?" And he says, "Well, you're always connecting other people to opportunities, like radio shows like yours, or something in the media." And he says, "I need you. Would you be interested?" And I said, "Yes." I said, "I would." I said, I love doing that." I said, "And getting paid for it's even better." Yeah. And then probably about 2 weeks after that, I got a phone call from Bob. And Bob is a personal friend as well, and he asked a few questions, and I really thought he was either calling to congratulate me, offer some guidance — he's a great mentor to me — or maybe tell me what his guidelines were within Sound Wisdom, because he's an author of Sound Wisdom as well. But his thing was he wanted to know if I would represent the Go-Giver brand. And I have to say that was the biggest honor of my life, to have a mentor and a friend to trust you with something so sacred as something that they love and that they built their brand. I like to fill out of my chair.
Yeah.
So, but I was very, very blessed, and my phone has been ringing off the hook since then. Literally, I get calls almost daily or emails from people wanting me to represent them. And there's just not enough time to go around, because I would love to help and represent everybody.
And how would be what's interesting about that, the end of that statement there, or that sharing, is that now opportunity is coming at you readily, or the opportunity to have opportunity. And I suspect one has to be quite judicious about where you put your time, where you put your energy. And in some ways, as you say, this is an opportunity to monetize. Having the strength to say no in some places might seem counterintuitive, and there's an opportunity to prosper. And how do you sort of ferret out, where's the best use of your time, or are you still learning that?
I think a little bit of both. I know now, through trial and error, different categories of people that I'll represent, because what I had to learn is, while I'm adding people on, I have to remember who I already represent. And I want to make sure that they're each adding value to each other, and I never looked at it from so everything's a big picture now for me. So when I take on a new author, I have to say, oh, are they going to make my other authors look well? And if not, then unfortunately, as much as I would like to add everybody, I cannot, but I still do little things like I might send them queries. That was my favorite thing. I love the hero lists that Peter Shankman created. That's how I got introduced to Bob with our Facebook friend, and I'd send him to him, and then one day he answered me in an email and said, "Thank you, I really appreciate that." And I didn't think it was really him, but it was him, and so it made you realize how approachable people really are.
But let's put some let's go into the shed and grab some picks and some shovels, and let's go out into the audience here and equip people to do some life development farming, right?
Okay.
I'll carry the heavy stuff, and you bring the magic dust, which you possess in copious quantities.
Great.
So as you get ready to sprinkle, and I'll do a little bit of digging, and we'll just get Steve, the guy from the show, to do the watering. He's a good water boy. As folks would tune in or listen to this, all of us have dreams and aspirations, things we want to do, and often get caught up in our own story. And I believe that we create our own obstacles the same way we create our own opportunities. But that said, it is a simple concept, but doesn't mean it's easy. So as you come across people, or even for the people here on the program that we want to equip to pursue something, to reach for a dream, to find it in their heart, to overcome sort of expectations of others and fulfill something that's in their soul, are there things that you would say to people that could help serve them best? Whether that be, I find my strength, whether it's in a spiritual source, there's a line of books, and I'm sure you know some more intimately than others, but have been good in terms of inspiring you. How do people find the strength to push forward that perhaps up to now they've wanted to but have been too busy or couldn't find a way to get it done?
I think a lot of times we get, like you said before, we get in our own way. I know that I was in my way for a long time. I couldn't see the forest for the trees, as the old saying goes. And I think once you just leave a little part of your mind available, that your life might go a different way, then it opens up a whole lot of possibilities. I believe in the law of attraction. I don't teach it, but I do really believe that you attract the things that you think about the most. And I started thinking about how I wanted to live, the person I wanted to be. And I think I know the thing that inspires me the most is my daughter. She's autistic. So some people, they want to leave a legacy behind for millions and millions of people. And if I can just leave a legacy behind for her so she can get through obstacles in her life, that's what means the most to me. I do want to touch others, but my daughter is my driven force for everything that I do in my life.
And perhaps it's what strikes me about your descriptions is when someone thinks of having an autistic child, since we all do think in pictures, one could obviously think that there's perhaps some greater challenges than we might otherwise face, and children, my experience has been, represent all kinds of new challenges without any adding any challenge to the challenge. And in some ways, it strikes me that the work that you do to raise your daughter almost reinforces gratitude for you of what you've been given in life, and the multiple chances to find your path and to open your gifts. And in a unique way, it strikes me that that's one of the driving forces for lots of reasons, but it fuels your soul about what you've been given.
You're absolutely right, it does. I know I get the most pleasure when somebody calls and says, "Hey, Michelle, thank you for that connection, and this is what happened." I just get really excited, like a little schoolgirl. I mean, that's like gold to me, that I know that I made a difference. So I know as I'm doing things, I want people to see that they can make a difference too. It doesn't have to be a big difference, but even those little differences, they kind of add up to making a big difference. And I never dreamt that I would be where I am right now, to be honest with you, as far as my dream was not, hey, I'm going to be a publicist for famous speakers. I just knew that I like to help others. So when the opportunity came, I was ready for it, and I was excited and honored that the gift was given to me. So to me, I don't think that in my heart, the gift was given to me. I wasn't giving the gift. So that's kind of how I look at things from a different end of the scope.
And let me ask you, because then this sort of comes back to our farming work here with our folks that are kind enough to join us on the program today. And, there's probably, like all of us, somehow the brain is wired to look at the negative side of life that gets, maybe as a protection mechanism, that gets reinforced by media, even if one is getting a cup of coffee and there's those front page headlines that will bring us down further, much less if we buy our coffee at the grocery store where we're seeing the news on the National Enquirer. And so we're continually surrounded by things that, like a crab in a crab bucket, pull us back to a place that's perhaps disempowering from time to time. And your story and journey would sort of illustrate that you'd have lots of reasons, more than others say, to sleep in a little late some days, or not give it the extra effort or extra mile, or why me, or woe is me. And I think all of us face that to varying degrees. I mean, everybody's motivated. It's just from my perspective, it's just a matter of degree, and it's how much one can continue to persevere. But as you approach each day, and maybe it sounds like you're lighting sparklers when you wake up in the morning. How do you eradicate, to the extent it does come, the inherent obstacle course that arrives each morning for us to overcome? Can you push it out fast? Does it arrive? And for those that are tuned in, are there tools or techniques to allow people to put energy towards the positive and not the obstacle course?
Every day is a different day for me, so I can't say that one day I have one method and the next day I use the same method. Every day is a different method. I guess it depends on how you feel. I remember I was in this really big speaking event last year, and this lady asked me, she says, how do you stay so positive all the time? Every time I see you, you're laughing, you're smiling, you're encouraging others. And she says, how do you do it? And I was like, I don't. I said, we are human. I said, don't wake up looking like this. I said, MAC makeup can't make me look like this. I said, I pray a lot. I am a very spiritual person. And I always try to send gratitude out. And even this morning, I woke up and I knew that I would have the show today with you. I wasn't sure quite what you would say, because you're you could say anything at any given time. I had to be ready for it. So I started off with a little prayer, and I just said, hey, God, help me through the day. Help those that I love that surround me, and even those that I don't. And I said, and I always do 5 little things every morning, whether it be send somebody happy birthday, or call somebody on the phone, or send a little email. And I did my 5 little things, and it put me in a great mood for the whole day.
Well, and that's an interesting act or ritual, if you will. Is that something, your 5 little things you described, something you do daily?
I try to. I don't want to make you think I'm this person that does everything perfectly, but I try to daily. And I even more so try when I do have down days, because we all have things that a business partner made you upset, or something didn't go quite the way it was supposed to be, or heck, you just don't feel good. So I really do try to implement 5 different things to make myself feel gratitude for my life. I really do, and those around me.
Well, let me give one more time gratitude for you being here. Let me welcome some people as they come rolling into the program. Obviously, the word is out that you're on. So I want to welcome everybody here to the Unopened Gifts program. I have an angel in the wings, or at least one in South Florida. I can call it South Florida, or they call it West Florida. There's such thing exists. Anyway, by Michelle Colin Johnson, who's a remarkable dream maker in the making as we speak. So let me welcome Stickum Blog TV, of course our friends at Real Coaching Radio Network, Receiver Internet Radio, Radio Roku, New Media Radio, and probably my little boys who are upstairs in another room watching because they have heard about Michelle and they saw her picture.
Wow.
Is she going to come see us? I said, well, she will on Skype. So welcome everybody and welcome back. We speaking to Michelle. Michelle is a 5-time stage 4 cancer survivor. She's raising an autistic daughter. She is learning lessons about the male race and how not to choose one, I think would be fair to say. She's a publicist now, representing some very acclaimed and tremendous human beings with a speaking platform. And if I'm not mistaken, Michelle, there's a book knocking on your heart, or at least knocking on your computer screen, and that may lead to somebody having to represent you out there in the marketplace. Tell us about where this is all going.
Yes, I mentioned the publisher before is Nathan Martin from Sound Wisdom. So originally he contacted me. I helped out with Josh Hines' book, another mutual friend of yours and I. And Nathan sent me the nicest email, and he said, thank you for helping out, and we're interested in learning more about you. I'm a little naive when it comes to people wanting to help out, so I sent an email back and I said, sure, I'm an open book. I would let me know how I can help you. So about 5 months passed after that. He goes, Josh told me I had to be very blunt with you. Whenever you're ready to write your story, he says, will you let me have the first option? And I said, absolutely. He goes, that's what I meant the first time around. So that was very much an honor, and I was very surprised. I didn't understand. I guess I couldn't believe that my story was something that somebody else would want to hear. Because when you live it, you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame, as Les Brown says. So.
Listen, I'm glad that the picture is posted and it's up here on the screen for people to spend some time with, because what again, really the hallmark of the program is the gifts, and I think that the illustration or the picture that comes to mind when we think of gifts happens to be a box with a bow and some wrapping paper and surprise. And what I have learned in my own journey, and having been able to put together a list of my favorite failures, is that gifts can come in a variety of shapes and forms, and it's often the setbacks that can be transformative and teach us some of the great things about ourselves and about life if we allow them to. And as I've said on this program before, and I continue to believe, because it continues to happen to me as we get, in life we get the test before we get the lesson plan. And you've passed quite a few tests that have been lobbed at you, so I suspect you're ready for a few more.
I think I'm ready for whatever God throws at me. I really do. I mean, I never thought that I'd make it through the ones that He threw at me, so I guess bring it on is what I have to say. How else can you face life? You know what I mean?
Well, and you pointed out, and I will reinforce this to the viewers and listeners, while I ask you of the references and things you do to help you each day, I think what you have been saying is, but listen, make sure you guys understand, I don't have it nailed, I don't have it perfect, and I have my bumpy days, and I think that's true for all of us, but there seem to be certain sort of standards or, what would you call it, rules of the game of life, that to the extent we go back to them or pull those back in, seem to ground us and help serve us. For some reason, they can slip away from us from time to time. As you say, the 5 that you do may not be every day, and we're not machines, we're humans. But I think what I get from you is there are certain rituals that serve you, and when you're able to be congruent with those, perhaps they make those days even more special.
They do. They absolutely do. And I think everybody should find their own 5 things. And the only reason I chose number 5 is I love John Maxwell and I love his teachings, and he always teaches, to pick 5 things in your life that you do and do them well. And out of those 5 things, do 1. And then the other 4 serve the 1. So for me, the 5 things that I do, like I said, is I always give gratitude, try to be kind for others. I love what I do in life, but everything that I do in my 5 helps me in the long run, whether it maybe be past the day. We all need getting through the day sometimes, or whether it be a special activity that I might do, or whatever it might be. The 5 things, and they're not always the same. It's just something that I think everyone should have a little roadmap in their mind, their own little roadmap on how to succeed, or how to overcome is a better word, how to overcome the obstacles that they might be facing.
Right, so you said that I'm apt to say anything to you, so here comes. You ready?
Oh, gosh.
Are you open to a group hug?
Of course I am. I love hugs. I'm Hispanic and I'm a woman, so we're all about hugs.
All right, so let me give a big, warm Hispanic female hug to our good friends at Blog TV, who are now featuring our program right now as we speak on their very large and successful syndicated program. Blog TV, welcome. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you here. Obviously, the word's got out that we have Michelle Colin-Johnson on the program. She is an angel that has flown onto the screen from the panhandle of South Florida. I will repeat something that's really important. A 5-time stage 4 cancer survivor, a woman who is a dream connector, puts people together with other people and opportunities because that's the service mentality in her heart. She's raising an autistic daughter. She's going to teach all women how not to choose a male while we're actually on this program, and is now a publicist who's got a book coming out, and perhaps, if I'm not mistaken, a feature film that I'll get a walk-on role for just because I asked for it. And it's an honor to have Blog TV with us. Michelle, thanks, and because a lot of people want to learn some of the tools and techniques of how you've done your stuff.
Thank you for having me.
Well, listen, since it's a warm Hispanic hug, any particular welcome you want to give?
No, I want to welcome everybody here. There's not any particular hug. I'm open to hug anybody that needs one.
I will not be giving out your address, though. It'll be a busy place. So for those of you who just now...
Thanks, James.
You got it. For those who are tuning in, thanks. And, what purpose of the program I like to reinforce is we have folks come on who are unique and special. And while we're all unique and special, the thing that I hope people take from this program is that we all face a series of obstacles. We all have an opportunity to learn about ourselves, most likely from experience, and experience often means setbacks. And the illustrations that come from a person like Michelle says, the gifts and what happens to us can happen in ways that we prefer not like the dreams we had as we were children, but those are messages from, let's just say, a higher source to say if we learn a lesson from what's happened to us, perhaps we can use that lesson to serve other people and perhaps build a larger platform with which to touch people. And you are now witnessing a woman who is tossing by the boatload starfish back into the ocean by virtue of the way she does her thing. So again, Michelle, I'm really excited that Blog TV joined us and that we've got you today.
I'm very excited to be here. An honor, very much an honor. I was very surprised when you sent me, you didn't actually send it, you posted it on my Facebook page, when would I be a guest? I was like, talking about being put on the spot.
That's right.
But I'm really honored that you asked me to be on your show.
So we get hugs in all particular directions, and so for the folks that have joined us, let's continue to be out there with our farming gear, helping plant some seeds of opportunity for people. And what I like to have happen after this program is that after the program, people can go to a website, can go somewhere on their computer, can go to a store, can sit down with a journal and take some concrete, congruent steps that are aligned with what they want to do with their life, what's in their particular heart at the moment. So when you think about books that inspire, let's talk about that, because you spend a lot of time with aspirational authors and around books that have served you and you believe serve others. Are there a couple of books that come to mind to say, if folks wanted to find out more and were looking to sort of light the torch within their soul, here's some books I'd recommend?
I love all of my authors' books, so I want to put that out there before I get phone calls, because they will be calling. But I'm very honest with everybody that The Go-Giver was the book that really started me on my personal development journey. It was the message that I embraced of giving to others, giving of yourself authentically, and being treated how you want to be treated. That book changed my life, and I'm very blessed to have the author in my life daily. And I suggest that people not just walk, but run out and get that book, The Go-Giver. So it's a really great book. All jokes aside, it has inspired many, and I know that it will continue to.
I think would also be an important thing to share with folks is, there are a lot of books, right? A lot of resources and a cascading amount of books that are brought to the market on a daily basis. You would know that as well as anybody. And that these days, most any of us could, call ourselves an author, put something out by self-publishing it. And for us consumers, how do we decide, right? That's a great question. And what I find interesting about the book you recommend with Bob, and you've talked about Josh, and we've also got a good friend by the name of Sean Doyle, that, much like I have been surprised by, interestingly enough, that the people who have written these books, I think the reason that these books are effective is because they come from the genuine place of sincerity, and these are people with authentic hearts trying to make a difference. They may make some money as an outcome. It doesn't seem to be the intention, because the intention is to serve and to make a difference. And I had the similar feeling when I was fortunate enough to have Bob on the program and spend a little time with him. Well, from the outside looking in, I thought, well, who knows what I'll find when I talk to this guy? But man, his heart was as big as the Florida Panhandle. And would you agree that that's probably part of the formula of success, where it's coming authentically from the individual's heart of what they want to do, service oriented?
I do. They have hearts as big as gold, and very seldom you will find people that walk the walk and talk the talk, but all of my authors do. And Nathan and I have a little joke going. I said, I want to interview the authors I represent before they come in, because I want them to be aligned with what I believe. But I don't have to be, because they're already pre-qualified for me. They're absolutely aligned with the beliefs that I have. Sean, he is just a wonderful person, Sean Doyle. So, and you're right, they don't do it for the money. They wouldn't. They don't market themselves. That's what they have. That's what they have me for. But they do it because they want to help not just thousands, but millions and millions, if not billions of people. And there has to be some kind of admiration in that. I mean, I know that I put them all up on the totem pole, and I want to be like them when I grow up.
Yeah, so. Those are, and they make great Halloween costumes too.
They do.
I want to be Sean Doyle for Halloween. I think it's, and another thing that I want to capture, again, with a real and sincere intention to do things for our viewers that are meaningful and allow them to do something after this program that advances the ball, if you will, in the game of life for them. And as you talked about your journey, and as you talked about some of these special authors, the thing that comes through is something we've heard before, but very much worth repeating is, I think it was Zig Ziglar who said, you can get everything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. And in this world that we live, which is where everybody lives, sometimes it's hard to remember there's a lot to be said for giving first, no matter what the return is. If at all there's a return, and that it does, from my perspective, continue to feel a heck of a lot better to do something for somebody else than for myself. That comes through in your message. And even thinking about the people that are tuned in who have busy lives and responsibilities and families and think, gosh, one more thing to have to do. But if we were to pull away and say, if you did a couple of these things, if you just test drive it, right? Take 30 days and practice the best you can, 5 acts of sincerity or generosity, a thank you card, paying the toll for the person behind you on the road, or whatever it could be. I think there's miracles that happen, or those have a sort of a compound effect, if you will, as you go down the road of life. Would you touch on that?
Yes, I agree. And I think that when you do kind things, or think kind things, or express kind thoughts to others, it's contagious. Have you ever heard that little saying, when you smile, somebody smiles along with you? I mean, how often do you smile at somebody and they frown? It's like a reflection looking back. So I think if people stop and think of life that way, and they think, well, I might or might not get something out of this, but if I do this, it might make that person's day, because we never know what the other person's story is. And when I go into, I was honored to speak at Chick-fil-A last year, and I had to teach on that subject. And I had to teach them in the group that the people that come up to the register, you don't know why they might be in a bad mood. So when you're in the service industry, or really in any industry, but my teachings to them, they're in the service industry, you have to really think about that. You don't know if they're going home to a child that's sick, or a wife that's dying of cancer, or maybe they lost their job. Maybe they're living on the streets and that's their last money. And I think if people think of things in relativity instead of just their immediate situation on what could be that person's being a jerk, or they don't like the way they look, you never know what they're going through. So you have to really think of those things and just do things from the heart.
And I have a strong passion around the field of health and wellness and happiness, if you will, and finding ways to get people to get more out of life, knowing that no matter what happens, the obstacles will always show up. They are a consistent group of buggers, if you will, And as I think about what you described and the face and smiling, having come from an exercise background by virtue of the manufacturing business to get people healthy and fit, the largest single group of muscles in the human body are in the face. And they tend to be the least exercised group of muscles over the course of time. Somehow we get really serious, and I remember this statistic because now having young children, I'm reminded of it often, is the average child of 4 laughs, jokes, or is smiling at least 400 times a day, and by the time that child turns 40, that number is reduced to 4. And the things that process in our mind that bring us down, and the things that we see that perhaps are obstacles that we wouldn't see if we were feeling perhaps in a happier place, and those are distinct choices that we can make. And as you say, smile in the world, someone's going to smile back at you. There are scientific studies now about what happens when you smile, and the dopamine dropping from the brain, and the contagious nature of the smile. And it doesn't cost anything, but yet sometimes we feel like we pay a heavy price if we smile at somebody. So it's again, thinking about something that somebody could do leaving this program, just go out onto the freeway and smile at people, hopefully in your car, right, or at the grocery store, or just pick random crowds and say you're doing a smile survey and you need to check the statistics of the data, and just give me a few and I'll give them back to you.
Oh, that's cute. That's very cute. That it reminded me of one of my surgeries that I had for cancer. It left me paralyzed on this side of my face, and I remember sitting in the lobby, and I was like, "Oh gosh, I'm paralyzed. I can't smile." So I said, "God, I know it's not right to be vain, but I could not imagine not smiling again. I promise I won't talk about anybody, and I will work extra hard at all the things." This is me having my talk with God, and people are looking at me trying to say, "Please, just don't let me be paralyzed for the rest of my life." Mm. And probably about 2 months later, I got full use of that side of my face again. So, but that was kind of scary, and then you realize that a smile is actually a gift. So, like I said, every time that something happens to me, I kind of look at it a little differently than most people do. Where people take for granted that they can smile. And for me, there was a time that I couldn't smile for a certain amount of time, so it's a gift to me. And one that I could share with others.
Yes, you can. And it doesn't cost anything to give them away.
No.
Right?
No.
They multiply. And let me ask you this, because I think that the folks that are tuned in would be curious to something we spoke about days ago, and having overcome cancer as frequently as you have, my question to you, and I suspect for those that are tuned in, would be a similar thought in mind, is, does one, having gone through what you've gone through, often live in a place of, when does it happen again? We touched on that, and what I'd like to do is get your perspective on that and how you overcome those thoughts to continue to carry forward, because I think that there's illustration there for all of us that we can think about obstacles and magnify those, as opposed to seeing them, understanding them, thanking them for stopping by, and then push them out of the way and continue moving on. And I don't mean to simplify it, that's what you've done, but I think you got that impression.
But that's a good way.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Tell us about that part of life.
When I start thinking of those, every 6 months is my answer first. Every 6 months is when I have that little thought, and that's because every 6 months I have checkups to go get reevaluated to make sure that my cancer does not come back. So of course I go through that day and or leading up to it, and I wonder exactly what the doctor might say or the test results, but I know that I can't control what might be on that test. I don't know what's going to be on the test, so I have to keep a right frame of mind, if not for anything else, for my daughter and those that are around me, those that I help around me, because nobody wants to be around somebody that's depressed or sad. So I have to look at it that way, and that helps me get through the day. I can only control what I can control, and that I can't, then I put it in God's hands.
And again, thinking about the tools that you're allowing, or the magic dust you're sprinkling upon us here, is the possession all of us have in terms of choice, is to focus on something, therefore to allow it to expand and perhaps slow us down, as opposed to just thanking it for stopping by. I'm going to send you to your room now. I've got stuff I've got to do, and like many things, simple but not necessarily easy. But you are a sort of an illustration or embodiment of having to be diligent about managing the thought process, which is something I think we all need to do no matter what we're overcoming in life, is being diligent about our thoughts.
Yeah, but it's okay to have a little, to allow yourself some time, because if you don't allow yourself some time to worry or grieve your losses or your illnesses, that's not really healthy either. And I shared with you last week that I went through that period of time where I actually blocked it out. I pretended like my divorce wasn't happening, my child just did not get diagnosed with autism, that I just wanted to have fun. I wanted to pretend like those things didn't happen. That wasn't a good idea. I don't advise that to anybody, because when you finally do have to deal with them, it's a whole lot harder to get back up when you're knocked down, because you have a whole lot more to deal with than just one thing. So for me, I know from 2003 till 2008, I lived in a world that wasn't realistic. I went out with friends and attended parties, and nobody really knew my story because I didn't share. They just knew that I was going through divorce and that maybe my daughter was autistic, but I never focused on those particular problems, because I guess to me that would have made them real. So even though it's not good to dwell on them consistently, it's also good to allow yourself some time to deal with them and then say, adios, muchachos, time to, to go. And that's a hard lesson for, for people, because you don't know when to move. You don't know how long to stay. You don't know how long to, you're allowed to wallow in it. You don't know how long. And I think everybody's different. Everybody has their own okays, their own time. For me, I literally give myself a 3-day period if something really, really drastically dramatic that I think in my mind, which might not be in your mind, to move on. I'll say, okay, Michelle, you've got 3 days to lay in bed, to wallow, to cry, and then you have to move on, because life is moving on without you, whether you move on or not. And I want to be in the good part of life, because I've already experienced a lot of bad. So I like the other train better. So,
and I'll give you a story that I think you'd appreciate. So I was in San Francisco recently, and this is sort of reinforcing the power that we have to manage interpretations and manage meanings and look at life from a variety of angles, because life is a series of interpretations. And I was being driven to the airport by this gentleman who didn't start out speaking a lot, but as he spoke, I recognized his accent as being Russian. I love to ask people about their journey, how they got here. Tell me what you want to be when you grow up. The interview carries on from the back of the taxi seat. And I learned that this particular individual had lived in San Francisco for about 20 years. Now, he was probably about 65. We talked about his sports affinity, and he's still skiing, although he's got a knee problem, etc. He's got a couple of kids, etc. Long story short, what I learned from him was he was a practicing physician in the Soviet Union, actually in Moscow. And some 20 years ago was living the high life as part of the political process, where he was kept in a fine home, was well compensated, was with the dignitaries and eating as much caviar as he could handle. But yet, as he anticipated what was going to happen within the Soviet Union, he recognized that if he didn't do something to change, that he and his family would have a hard time coping in the real world. They might be protected in some spaces or some places, but it would be a manufactured life. So he decided to pick up and move to the United States. And as I accelerate the story, much to the chagrin of his wife, who actually liked that lifestyle, some young children who didn't know any better, he came here, didn't speak the language, started to drive a taxi, and as it went on for 20 years, because his medical credentials did not transfer, he couldn't become a physician in the United States. He continued to drive a series of different types of vehicles and got a part ownership in one particular group, but he sacrificed his life. He changed the meanings and the interpretations of his own life to serve his own family, who were reluctant at first. Now his children are U.S.-based physicians. His wife wouldn't leave San Francisco if you paid her. And he said, even though I know I made a tremendous sacrifice personally, I would never be able to live with myself if I could anticipate what would happen to my wife and to my children and my grandchildren if I was selfish and only looked at it through the lens of what was most important to me. I had to serve other people. So he goes, so now I may not be serving people on the operating table. He goes, but I'm going to get you where you want to go, fast, efficiently, friendly, and we'll talk about anything you want to talk about. And he still charged me, and I still tipped him.
That's a great story. I love to hear those kind of stories. People that they're others focused. I believe that we all should be others focused. It's just a way of life. It's not something that you just think you should do. It's something that you should take action and do, because when you're others focused, you will realize that people start to notice you. So, and whatever you do, don't be attached to the outcome, though. That was very hard for me when I started personal development. I would have, like a good friend of mine, I won't mention her name, but she would say, I did this and this for such and such, and can you believe they didn't say thank you? And I finally, it bothered me so much. I was like, well, did you do it just for the thank you, or did you do it because you were genuinely supposed to do it? You know, because if you're driven for recognition, then you probably shouldn't do it, because people are not going to always recognize it at the moment. I said, it will be when you least expect it that somebody realized what you did for them and made a difference in their life. I said, so you can't be attached to the outcome when you're doing something. Just know that you're doing it for the right reasons.
You know, and I what comes to mind as you say that is I have a vision of boomerangs, and in a continued quest to try to do something for somebody else. And again, those are distinct choices we all make. Some days we don't want to do it. As I look at it as if I'm out there tossing boomerangs, and sooner or later they're going to come flying back in. Now, I need to be aware when they return, because I don't want to get hurt. But they'll return from the most unique places when you least expect it. And the gift of the gentleman driving me in San Francisco was a return boomerang, because it gave me some context about a particular challenge I was going through. It gave me content with which to tell a story. I share a bit here on this particular program. So as you described it, and I also think about your steps of 5, is those 5 things, even if that's not what one's looking for, because I don't think we ought to be thinking about the outcome, it's the right thing to do. And when good things come our way, it's sort of how the universe, if you will, says thanks back at you. You know, keep putting it in.
That's right. It's like an emotional bank. We always hear the people making reference to, like I do in a lot of my stories, I say that I was emotionally bankrupt. Well, I had given so much in a previous relationship, and it wasn't my marriage, but it was a relationship afterwards, that I had no more left to give, not even to myself. So when you file bankruptcy, the best thing to do is, you know, you start all over again. Hopefully you do it right the next time. You're equipped with a clean slate. Hopefully you learn some lessons on what not to do, and then you take the lessons that you learn and you apply them to your life now so you can have a better life. So I know that you asked me previously on your answer. I'm sorry, you know what I meant by that term, but that's what I mean by emotionally bankrupt. When people take out more than what they put in. You finally get to the point where when you go to withdrawal, if you're a taker and not a giver, that there's nothing left for you or anybody else. That's not a great way to live.
People can view us as human ATM machines. Right? keep an out of order sign on us. Right?
Oh, that's funny. Well, and saying that, the people in my life, they're always making donations into my bank, into my love bank, my emotional bank, so I don't ever have to worry about being overdrawn. There's always something there.
Right. Well, let's talk about some things that we can rally around you on, and have the Blog TV folks and all of the viewers and listeners today throw some boomerangs in your direction. So putting you on the spot, which I love to do, is so let's talk about what you want to be when you grow up. So when we have the Michelle Colin Johnson 5-year anniversary program, right, and we're all looking at where the Dream Giver has taken her dreams. Tell us about what we'll see. What will you be doing? Who will you be around? What do you hope happens? What do you intend to happen without sort of being wedded to the outcome? Give us the vision.
My vision is I want to continue growing the business that I started this year. I know one of the reasons I was so excited about my business is I could spend more time with my daughter. And there's days I don't have, some days I don't feel good because of the cancer. So I know there has to be other people out there like me. So I want to employ people that might not want to leave their house. They can do something from their home. So I want to eventually grow the business to where it kind of moves in its own way, in its own direction, but helping others, because that's what I love to do. And then I want to go out and speak. I've always loved to speak. As you can tell, I'm a chatterbox, and I love sharing my journey, and even more so now that I know that I can make a difference in somebody's life. So, but in the end, I want to, leave a legacy behind for my daughter and for others, and let them know that they're not limited. It's so important to know you're not limited to what's in your current situation. And I think we kind of get lost in that because you can't get outside the box. All you can think of is the things that you don't have in your life, but people don't take the steps to get what they want in their life, and that's kind of sad. So for me, I want my book to be finished, and you asked about that too, and I know that you asked the name, and we were throwing around The Dream Connector. So I hope that to be finished, and I hope to be speaking, and I hope to continue helping others. That's my passion in life.
How cool is that?
It's real cool. I'm living the dream right now.
And we have a ringside seat right here, and if you don't mind, we're just going to stay with you through this 5-year period, right? So that we're all recipients. There may be moments when you need to excuse yourself, and that'll be fine, but you've got a whole bunch of people that are going to be traveling with you along this journey, and I don't think you'll mind because, right, we do things, life's a team sport, right? We need people around us. And how do people, there's a couple more questions, but let me get this out of you at least a few times before we go back to our mutual parts of the country. How do people track you down?
They can track me down either on Facebook or my website. My website is MichelleColonJohnson.com, and Colon is spelled C-O-L-O-N, like colon. And they can also, on Facebook, I have the exact same name, and the same pictures there as well, so there's no confusing, because I realize even though that's a unique name, there's 3 of us out there, and one of them is a doctor, James.
No, that's what
I know. So I don't mind being mistaken for her sometimes.
Excellent, excellent. And if, without putting pressure on you, and I know the challenge of answering this question, when in your field of vision, to the extent bookstores are still around, will we be sitting around a Barnes & Noble, coffee in hand, with your book on a Nook or a Kindle or a hard copy on our lap, and just saying, wow, I remember her from that program on Open Gifts?
I have given myself, and I write little notes to myself as reinforcements, because once you put it out there to the universe, God, and once you put it out here to to everybody in the world, you have to go forward and do it. I say 2013, and I'm working with the publisher now. And the minute I sign some of this other paperwork I'm supposed to sign, then that's when the pressure goes on. So I'm really pressured right now to know that once that signature goes down, it's on. And they promise not to make it easy for me, so I have to be ready for that challenge. So my word to you, and I always keep my word, is by 2013 I should be finished.
So I want you to think about this from time to time when you pull the curtains back in the morning and you look outside and you see those folks barbecuing or making hot dogs or on their iPads. The team is rallying around you, so looks like it's going to be all year that folks are going to be on your grass. You might get to your neighbors and let them know that all the folks on this program today will be with you on that journey.
Oh, that's great. I like company. It's the team that makes the dream.
Well, and they make pre-sales as well, if you don't mind. Right?
Oh, they do. That's absolutely right.
So let me give this gift to the folks. Again, with all the folks that have tuned in, and the numbers have been ratcheting up as we've been speaking. So obviously the word is getting out about your story and the things that you've shared, and the boomerangs have been tossed. And as we begin to put a bow around this particularly special show, I'll remind people, as I ask Michelle to be thinking about what you want to make sure we take away from the program. What we're witnessing here is heart and spirit that we all possess, that this is magnified by somebody who has found a formula or continues to find the formula for overcoming obstacles and setbacks or finding a way to use those as a force for good in life. something we can all learn from, something we can recognize that sometimes we can tend to magnify things in our lives that are perhaps obstacles, but certainly become obstacles the more we think about them. Or another way, I think there's a lot of truth to the statement that you get what you focus on. Michelle's overcome stage 4 cancer 5 times, is raising an autistic daughter, has had some challenges on the relationship front, and is now building a business and has her construction belt on as she does that. None of those things independently is not without its challenge, so it's magnified. And as we tune in, as we listen, as we think about the purpose of this program is to give gifts to people, to say, listen, look inside of yourself. What is it that you really want? Perhaps what has set you back that maybe you can learn from or use as a force for good in your life? And perhaps what we hear from Michelle today, that if you take 1 or 2 ideas and implement them or test them right away, that could enrich your life or enrich the life of somebody else and push forward. So with that sort of build up to what I'm eager to get, because I get to play this back 1,000 times, what would you leave us with? For those that want to move forward, start a business, a new career, build a relationship, change a relationship, start a business, write a book, get some inertia going, fulfill a dream. Are there a couple things you could leave us with?
I would suggest, as I had spoken before, to remember that to be others focused. It's a whole lot easier in life when you have a partner or a team to go along with you on your journey. Nobody wants to have fun as a journey all by yourself. So you can enjoy the journey as you go along, and you will have a team to come with you to help you succeed at the things that you want to do in life as you help them. And also to do a lot of soul searching and really focus in on what the things that you want to accomplish. And you don't have to do everything in one day and night. You really have to be authentic in the things that you do and the relationships that you make, because if you're not, then it's going to show not only in your goals that you made for yourself, but it's going to show to the outside world where you're coming from. So I think what I would take away is to be others focused, to always remember that you're not alone, that there's always somebody out there that has it worse than you or better than you, so you have to put things in perspective, and to not think that you can't live your dreams no matter what you're going through. And as I often say, a dream is just a dream until you begin to live it. And when you begin to live it, it's such a great feeling, and I feel very blessed to be living my dream right now.
And before you give us all that large and lovely Hispanic hug, bon voyage, or adios, if I can get my geography right, one more time, if people want to find out more about you, where do they go?
They can go to my website, MichelleColonJohnson.com, or they can go on Facebook under the same name, MichelleColonJohnson.com. And I have another web page. It's called Never Give Up on Your Dreams. So if you have hard time spelling my name or can't remember it, Never Give Up on Your Dreams is a pretty easy term to remember.
And you know, it's people like you, Michelle, that remind me to never give up on my dreams, to never give up on a program like this, which, if nothing else, if one person does something different tonight by virtue of what they've listened to from you, then it's a magnificent victory. You have a feeling that that's going to be some 1,000-ish multiple of 1 based on what you shared with us, and your kindness and your generosity to give us the time, to give us a personal insight of your journey, of where you're heading, and perhaps what we can learn from the gifts you've been given and how you give those away, what we have inside of ourselves, to in turn do the same for other people. So you've inspired us. You've given us a great gift. You've been the hallmark of what this program is about, is to learn what we have, open that gift, no matter where we are, whatever stage in life, give that gift away in service and find out what it is that we are assigned to do while we're on this earth. You know, telling how much time we've got, make the most of it, make a difference for other people, and find fulfillment. And I believe if we put our finger in your belt loop and followed you along, that we would learn a heck of a lot more and be well away on that path. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And thank you very much for all of you that have tuned in. This is the Unopened Gifts program. I thank you every Tuesday afternoon, about 5 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock. It's my intention to bring a guest to you that'll help you recognize something inside of yourself that perhaps you didn't recognize until you heard from that remarkable person like you did today with Michelle Galone Johnson, a very special angel and a very special member of the Unopened Gifts team. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks again, Michelle, and we'll see everybody next week.
Thank you, Jay.
Today's podcast is brought to you by ObesityHotline.com, the silent killer, providing support and encouragement in the prevention of this rising epidemic. Featuring the Body by Vi Challenge. Is there a quick answer to the question? Go to www.obesityhotline.com. You're listening to Real Coaching Radio TV, building a positive network.